The Ballad of Johnny Arcane by Jim Nail, read by Jim Nail, Chapter 4, Cornfest, Part 3, Johnny puts on the red armband. He had no memory of it ending. He awoke on a rumpled bed of canvas behind the platform. There was a warm body pressed against his aunt's body, her arm across his chest, her face nuzzled in his neck. Slowly he pulled himself free and stood and shook off the slumber. Jocko was stretched out on the other side of Aunt, his arms extending above his head as if he were reaching for the long-departed moon. The guitarist was nowhere to be seen. Johnny walked out on the meadow. Morning mist was scattering. Most of the tables were still up, and a few people were milling around half awake. In front of a steaming kettle, a man was passing out cups of some hot, dark, roasted brew. Johnny took one and nodded his thanks. He strolled over to a table where a woman had spread out items of clothing. There were bib overalls for farmers, dressmakers' cloaks, goat herders' colorful rags, even a few white mummers' robes. "Morning, Arcane," said the woman. She had stern eyes like Mother's, but there was something melodious in her voice. Johnny fingered the lapel of a shoemaker's jacket. "Who makes these?" he asked. "Well, the fabric is milled in Stubblefield, mostly flax, some corn silk. Hardly any cotton these days. I make the clothes myself, right here. Did you ever see such a pretty baker's bonnet?" She held up something blue and embroidered. "Well, that's right nice, but tell me this. Last night, everybody wore something different. Nobody wore the uniform of their profession." "Oh, well, the Cornfest, we leave our work behind. Then in the morning, people come out and pick up new work clothes. Sometimes they even pick out new work." On a rack above the trapper's ties and the butcher's aprons, on a rack of pegs above the trapper's ties and the butcher's aprons, hung a row of red armbands. Johnny took one of these in his hand. "Is there much demand for these?" The woman shook her head. "Nope, not at all. It's hard to find a good messenger anymore. Leastways an honest one." Johnny stretched the armband and let it snap back together. The words of the messenger on the road rang in his ears. "Lots of sojourners start out by being messengers. You memorize the lay of the land and the borders. Masticate on that sometime, son. Might do you good." "I think I'll take one," he told the woman. The woman nodded and smiled. "A smart boy. You must be new at this sojourning thing. Lots of sojourners start out by being messengers." Johnny slipped the armband up his sleeve and onto his shoulder. Then he walked across the meadow to the town proper, where smoke was rising from the chimney of a gray stone log house. Inside was where most of the townspeople had gathered, sitting at the tables, at log tables, groggily slurping from bowls of porridge and munching on bits of crunchy bacon. A few people hailed him. "Arcane, Arcane." One man shook his hand. One of the hoop girls reached up and stroked his arm. He got himself some food and sat down. Immediately he felt a presence beside him. It was the burly man. Half his face was wrapped in gauze, and his right arm was in a sling. They regarded each other. "Thought you might," he said. "Thought I might what?" "Was hoping you would, actually. I got a message to send. Wrote it last night. There hasn't been a messenger come through here in weeks." Awkwardly with his left hand, he retrieved a sealed envelope from his vest pocket and slapped it on the table. "Gonna be hard for me to draw you a map, but I'll try." He fished through his pocket and produced a piece of parchment, which he flattened on the wood's surface. "It's for the mayor of Stubblefield, about 5 days walking from here, mostly to the south. I'll note the roadhouses for you on the map, since you're new to this." "What's a mayor?" asked Johnny. "What's a mayor? Well, you are a small town boy, aren't you? A town gets big enough, it needs a mayor, to make sure everything runs smoothly. We could never have a Cornfest at King Corn if we didn't have a mayor." While he talked, he drew the map with a stub of charcoal. There were all sorts of things on it: hills, houses, orchards, barns, lakes, and rivers. His whole arm was shaking with the effort. "You start out soon, you'll get to the first roadhouse well before sundown." So, that very morning, Johnny Arcane set out in his new role as messenger. He studied the map carefully over breakfast, thanked the burly man, stood, left the longhouse, and left the town of King Corn on the road, heading south. Just past the first bend, he heard muffled footsteps, and a voice called his name. "Johnny! Johnny, don't go!" He turned. It was Aunt. She was wearing the same dress as the night before, and she was running in bare feet. "Aunt!" he cried. She flung herself into his arms. "Don't go, Johnny. We made such beautiful music. We could be a band. Me, you, Jocko, Bearclaw. Don't go, Johnny. I love you." He stroked her shoulders and cradled the back of her head. Aunt, Telemarine. "No, Aunt, I have a job to do. I have a message to carry. This is my destiny." "Then I'll come with you. I can be your companion, your helpmate." "No, I have to go alone. I'm a sojourner. Sojourners go alone." Aunt sunk her head between her shoulders and made her mouth into a pout. "You're so cruel." "No, I'm not cruel. It's just my destiny. And yours." He pulled away from her embrace. "I'll come back someday. My path will bring me back. We'll make music again." As he walked away, listening to her sobs in the road behind him, he thought, "This will be a pattern then. Everywhere he goes, Johnny Arcane will leave behind a trail of broken hearts."
Johnny Arcane passed along this way a while ago, and we were all out on the lawn. We were all just hanging on, and he said, "I don't know. Well, I don't know if I can take another day like yesterday, with those corn-fed babies of the West all carry stones upon and still a pine.